Okay, I think we can get started now. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Master Blueprint 2.0. My name is Manish Gupta from Lepton Software. I'm your host today, and we have a very useful session for over next 60 minutes for you. So the three small words, final 50 meters. This is the gap where your delivery pin shows on a map and where your customer actually opens their door. Every one of us has faced this problem as a customer, as a driver, or as a business. Today, we will show you how Google Maps' new geocoding API is finally solving this. Before we proceed further, a few quick housekeeping points. This session is getting recorded. We will share you the slides and a quick cheat sheet with you by email tomorrow. And please drop off any questions that you have during the sessions, and we will answer them towards the end in the Q&A. So here's what we will cover in next 60 minutes. We will go through a quick introductions. There has been a lot of focus from Google Maps in India. We will discuss why and what is happening. We will come to the main point that this webinar is hosted today, which is Geocoding V4, followed by the live demo and a quick recap. And we will answer your questions, whatever we will get in the meantime. So again, let me introduce myself first. My name is Manish. I lead the Google Maps business with Lepton Software. I'm joined here with Vinay from Google Maps platform. Vinay is very close to the India product story. He works with pricing, addresses, V4 rollout as well. And he will be sharing the Google side of the story today. And from Lepton, we have Sushant Tripathi. He's our senior consultant engineer. Sushant is the person you want to be in the room when you're developing anything on the Google Maps platform. And he will do a live demo in the session later. Now, before we actually get into our main problem, our problem statement that we are talking today, I just want you to run through that what Lepton Software is. So we are a 30-year-old organization completely working into location intelligence. We have roughly around 1,000 plus customers active onboarded. We serve 25 plus industry verticals. We've been partnered with Google for more than 15 years, and we have 30 plus customer engineers working with us, which are Google certified. Now, we just not do Google Maps platform. We are an ecosystem where we are offering a Google Map various services. We have also built a lot of platforms on top of Google Maps, and we will talk about them in detail at the later stage as well. Now, as I said, we have a 15 years plus year partnership with Google. We are a premier partner with them. We are JPAC incubator as well. And at the same time, we have a two-way relationship with Google in one way where we are acting as a co-sell Google Maps APIs. We also feed a lot of data to Google. As I mentioned, we are a location intelligence company. We pick up a lot of data on ground and then we feed it to Google. Now, before we, dive into our main topic, let's spend 5 minutes, which is something very, very important. Google is investing in India in a big way. Geocoding 4 is a part of this. And to put it more context, let's look at the bigger picture. So India has been a growing GMP fastest market. There has been, as per the records, there have been 7+ million roads that has been constructed. And I think almost every road is mapped by Google. There are 300+ million buildings, more than total number of buildings in many full countries. There are 35 million, businesses and places which are listed on Google Maps for India, from your local Kiryana store to a largest factory which is there. And then they claim to be 98.5 address query success. So if you ask any address, Indian address from Google Maps, 98 out of 100 times, you will find it. Now, before we go forward, I would like to, ask Vinay to share, what is happening, why India, and why now. If you can share some details in and around it, that'll be.
Thank you, Manish. Hello, folks. India is not a small market for us. It is a strategic one. So let me walk you through, the 5 things that Google has shipped in India in the last 18 months, right? And what better than pricing to start with, right? Most of us want better pricing in maps or anywhere else in our lives. So in August 2024, we lowered India price by about 70% on most core APIs. For ONDC partners, the discount goes up to 90% on some APIs. Many customers saw their bills drop by half overnight. That was the pricing reset. The generous free tier, up to 70,000 free API calls per product every month. That is enough room for a real prototype, not just a demo. So Indian developers, small businesses can build serious things without paying first. Address descriptors, the third one. So this feature was built in India for India. So that's something nice we always want to hear. In India for India. Indian addresses don't always have clean street numbers. People say near Big Bazaar, near HDFC Bank, opposite this tree, right? You just have to be happy they don't use movable parts, right? They don't say it's opposite this bus and then the bus is moved. So at least we are wise. We're not doing such things, but the API now speaks the same language. It returns landmarks and area names along with the lat long, right? Two-wheeler routing is the other big one we did for India. Most countries route by car, but India, we all know, runs on bikes, gig delivery, last mile, daily commute. So Routes API has a two-wheeler travel mode, right? So that handles narrow roads, flyover rules, bike-aware ETAs, right? And lastly, another big piece, live traffic and AI, real-time traffic on Indian roads, eco-friendly routing, air quality, places insights powered by Gemini. I don't know how many of you are using Gemini on a day-to-day basis now. I do, right? And most of my first medical consultation is no longer Google, but Gemini. So doctors will still be unhappy, but that is the reality. The full modern stack, right? Not just a cut-down version for India. Back to you, Manish.
Thanks, Vinay. I think it's time to deep dive into our main topic today. And I want to spend a few minutes on the business use cases in and around it. And why should any of you should care about Geocoding V4, not just as a developer, but as a business owner. Now, quick question, I see a large crowd here, and how many of you ever, received a call from your delivery partner or a driver because he couldn't find your gate or entrance or the tower that you are residing in? And I bet 90% of you would say yes. Now, just multiply that by 10 million plus deliveries that happens in India every day. The real cost of final 50 meter is a problem. And that is a main problem in India because addresses are still ambiguous. Now, every wrong pin, every confused driver or every angry call from the customer, that is money walking out of the door. So what is the problem? What is happening right now? We see while we speak to a lot of corporates who are onboarded with us, their standard problem has been that there have been a lot of failed deliveries. Now, when a driver can't find the right door, the order goes back to the warehouse. That is a money lost on the table. There is a higher time to door, right? There's a higher TDD. They want to reduce it. Now, what happens is if a delivery partner is trying to figure out your house for last 5-10 minutes, that leads to fewer drops per shift from the driver. You calling on a call center asking where is my order again leads to another big cost, which is their call center. And then it leads to a driver frustration as well. They are not happy with the job. Maybe you will see a lot of people leaving out of it. And then there are lost margins as well, right? Wrong pickup point in a ride, the whole trip becomes a refund. Now, what are we talking today? Now, until now, and I don't know if in the audience, have you been using geocoding API in the past or not? Every geocoding API in the world, any mapping company that have built in the historically, including Google's own prior version, gave you the same thing. It was just a dot on the map, right? All it will do is it will convert the address into a lat long or a lat long into an address. Now, usually somewhere in the middle of the building. Now that worked fine for all of us till now. It has worked fine, but there are something else that needed to be changed, right? So what has changed in V4, like the new version, what has come? So in V4, what it does is it is not just a dot on the map. It gives you a place, a real structured destination. It gives you multiple named entrances, building outlines, the actual shape of the building. And for example, let's say if you have selected an ambience mall in Gurgaon, it will actually give you sub destination as well. That means like every shop inside the mall. And it also gives you a AI generated arrival summaries as well. Short hints the driver actually reads. And in India, address descriptor with landmarks, as Vinay said, that it is very important. People usually want to relate it to a nearby addresses, nearby landmarks. So this is what has changed in V4 so far, and what it has led to, right? Because there have been companies who've been trying it and implemented, and what it unlocks for the customers. It just turnarounds everything. There are fewer failed deliveries, lower time to door, right? Better customer NPS. Where is my order? Call drops, right? They have seen drastical drops on the number of calls which are coming to their call centers. There are lower cost per drop. And of course, it leads to driver retention because he's able to find the house the right way, how it is always supposed to be. Now, we need to also understand that, where this new geocoding API hits the hardest, right? To be honest with you, it actually useful for every industry who have been using geocoding of APIs, but it really hits the hard on the quick commerce side. This is the difference between a 10-minute promise and a 11-minute apology, right? If you are in e-commerce, your first attempt delivery rate goes up. And if you are in retail, your store locator finally takes customer to the right gate, not the back of your shop. Now, if you're in logistics, fewer deliveries, fewer customer service tickets. If you're in ride hailing, your driver picks up the passenger at the right gate, not at random roadside. And if you're in healthcare, your patients are able to call for the healthcare services at the right time. Now, what actually is in V4? We have talked about building entrances. We have talked about, polygons and all of that. I would like Vinay to again talk about what is there in V4, point by point, so that everybody understands why we are here today.
Thank you, Manish. Now let me show you what is actually going on inside Geocoding V4. Right? We will look at 4 building blocks. Then I'll spend a few minutes on each one, what it does, why it matters, and why is GA versus what is GA versus still in preview, right? So the 4 building blocks, block 1, which is really search destinations. This is the flagship, entrances, building outlines, sub destinations. This is in preview today, right? Block 2, this is the AI arrival summaries powered by Gemini. This is experimental today. All feedback welcome. Block 3, this is address descriptors. This is India only. Like I said, by India, in India, generally available, fully released. Block 4 is modern infrastructure, authentication, field masks, new endpoint URL. This is also GA today, right? Let's move to search destinations, right? Entrances, right? This is not just one point, a list, right? Each with a real name like main gate or service entrance or loading dock. The API tells you which one is preferred, right? So it's no longer just one point, right? And I think that is a very important distinction to make, right? Second is building outlines, right? When you search destinations, the shape of the building itself, is visible. It's not just a pin. You can shade it on your driver's map. The driver sees exactly which building he's heading to. Big difference, from a pin again, right? Very important distinction. Navigation points, third piece, the exact point your driver should drive to, and the API will give you different points for different travel modes, right? One for cars, one for bikes, one for walking. Again, very important. Just note the level of detail to which destinations is going into, right? And then there are sub-destinations. Every shop in a mall, every terminal in an airport, right? Every tower in a corporate campus, right? One call returns all of this together, right? So just to highlight, right? If you look at the use case on the right, this is a real example. Without version 4, V4, when your driver delivers food to a mall, he routes to the mall's main public entrance, right? And then he has to figure out, right? He's stuck. He has to figure out if he's old. When I say old, I mean if he's been in riding and delivering for a long time, then he knows things instinctively. But if he's not, then he wastes something like 6 minutes finding the service entry, right? Without V4, all of this, right? And with V4, one call returns the restaurant sub-destination, the correct service entrance, and a Gemini summary, right? And again, here, drivers would need to be able to read, or at least be able to get that, audio, right? And the driver actually is able to go to the exact destination that he's supposed to be going to, right? So 6 minutes saved on every drop, right? So that is such destinations. The next one is building polygons, right? So building polygons are simple but very powerful. So instead of pointing at the building with a dot, version 4 returns the actual shape of the building, like I said, its footprint. Look at the left side of this slide, right? And the blue shaded area is the polygon. The driver pin is just outside, heading towards it, right? So this, you can do 4 things with this. With the building polygons, you can shade the building on your tracking screen, so your customer sees exactly which building their order is heading to. There is no more confusion in a 4-tower or a 6-tower or a 8-tower complex. There is a smarter geofencing, so you can trigger arrival events when the driver crosses the building outline, right? Not a 100-meter circular zone that fires too early or fires too late. And this is typically one of the issues we've heard from customers, that you said he's arriving, but then he's nowhere close and he's headed to the wrong place, right? So precise pickup and drop-off zones, define your handoff zones using the real footprint of the building, no more guessing radius sizes. So a lot of the assumptions, estimations you need to make is out of the window. Indoor mall navigation, so you combine polygons, right, with sub-destinations, and you can guide a user from the parking gate all the way to a specific shop, right? So this, again, super useful. Again, something we always keep hearing: give us indoor navigation, give us better directions. Our users are not always experienced, so this is something we keep hearing, and I think somewhere we are solving for this. Next is AI arrival summaries, right? So again, here, look at the example. Behind Domino's Pizza, glass doors on the north side, street parking on 2nd Avenue. That sentence is not written, by a human, right? Gemini has generated it from the surroundings, from nearby landmarks, from the building shape on the map. And why does this matter? Because your driver reads this exactly 30 seconds before arriving, right? At the moment when context matters the most. He's not reading this when he's starting off, or it is not time too late either, right? So exactly when he needs to be reading it, he reads it, he gets it. And your customer also sees this on the tracking screen, arriving in 2 minutes, right? It becomes actually useful, not just a countdown. And the best part, zero engineering effort, right? And that's the most important part as well, right? In the back end, if you have to arrive at this by significantly, lifting load, engineering load, then there's no excitement. But this is like zero effort, no templates to maintain, no fallback logic to write, experimental today, right? So that's the one thing I would want to call out. Next is address descriptors. This feature is special. It was built in India. pardon my coming back to the statement, but just try it for us. Built in India for the way Indians actually navigate. Look at the example, right? Near Big Bazaar, right? In Sector 18, Noida. So this is how a real person will give directions to a delivery driver in India. The street name and pin code, less useful. Landmark, everything, right? So how it works is machine learning returns the most relevant nearby landmarks and area names along with your geocoding result. The coverage is fully available across all of India, including tier 2, 3, 4 cities, Agra, Udaipur, Indore, Vijayawada, all the places, right? Cost is zero cost, no extra cost. I'll not say zero cost, you're still paying for maps, but zero extra cost because you're using this. It is included in the Geocoding India Essentials queue. You're probably already paying for, right? And it's also available in reverse geocoding and forward geocoding place ID level, right? So if you're geocoding in India and you're not using address descriptors today, you are leaving precision on the table for free. So with that, okay, there is still one more. Okay, modern infrastructure. So Google Cloud Service Infrastructure is what V4 is built on. It has the same modern patterns as the rest of Google's APIs. Only 3 words I would use to describe: reliable, observable, and scalable, right? Authentication alongside API keys. For server-to-server calls, you can use authentication tokens, better security, better audit logging. Your existing API keys still work. Field masks, you ask only for the fields you want. Smaller responses, faster calls, lower cost. And a clean new endpoint, geocode.googleapis.com/v4. A clean break from the legacy URL, right? So with that, now Sushant will switch to his sandbox and show you what all of this actually looks like in real code. Something I just cannot do. Over to you, Sushant.
Thank you so much, Vinay, for this. Yes, we have until now we have understood why we should use geocode and where we should use the geocoding API. But now we have to understand how to use that specific thing. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's just take a specific place. I'm taking DLF Mall of India, and it gives me specific polygon around the complete place. Okay, let's remove few places like the labels and map so we can understand and have a clear view of everything. So what we are looking at right now, it's a polygon of that specific mall, and it has a sub location and a sub polygon inside it, and it has navigation points and the entry and exit points also. Okay, so let's go step by step what Geocode V4 returns in the response and how we can use it in our map or basically in our applications. Let's just first understand the navigation points. If you are in mobility, if you are in the taxi hailing services and anything like that, the navigation points are the best solution for you. How? It gives you the exact pinpoints in a specific boundary or in a specific building where you can tell the specific location to the driver. Like I'm standing over here. For example, if I take the point 3 of here on the navigation side, I get the complete detail that this is the latitude and longitude. The way I can travel to that specific point is through drive and walk also. So navigation points helps you to give the exact pinpoint of that specific location to the driver or to the specific delivery guy to reach it to you. Now, if we talk about the entry and exit points, this is something that is really useful for delivery guys and the quick commerce industry. Why? Because before this in V3, what we only had the specific pinpoint location. For example, we only had that specific pinpoint of latitude and longitude of that specific building. Now the driver has to figure out from where is the entrance, from where he can enter or from where he can exit and kind of thing. But now Geocoding V4 gives you the exact entry and exit point also. So the driver knows that I have to go to this navigation point, and from there I can walk to this entry point, and I can go and pick up my order, I can drop off my order and everything around. One more thing that is quite good with Geocoding V4, Google has a specific API for address validation, and it was not combined with Geocoding V3 before, but now it does. In Geocoding V4, even if you are wrong, give you a different or wrong address. For example, let me take a specific address which is not right. Okay, just a second. See, I've took an address that is misspelled, misaligned, and everything. I will just geocode this, and I get a specific location of that address that I've given. And it also validates that address and converts it into a formatted address with the right thing. So address validation API that was before, different from geocoding, is now infused with the Geocoding V4 also. So that helps a lot. Okay, if I just geocode a specific polygon inside this building, I get the entry and exit and navigation and everything. Okay, one more thing. Each location has sub-destinations also, as Manish has talked about it before. Let me just showcase this to you also. That specific polygon has sub-destination also. What does it do? It gives you all these smaller businesses or maybe smaller destination inside a bigger polygon. So for a user who's standing in a in like KFC or standing in front of Domino's, he can tell the specific location that I am over here, and that sub destination can be useful for different operators to locate that user, to pick up the order or drop off the order. So these are the few things that Geocoding V4 gives you and helps you out in. Manish, I would like to continue on this. Now we talk about the anatomy of how Geocoding V3 and V4 differ. So basically in V3, the request was used to be GET request. What that means, that you make a GET request to fetch the data out of the API. But now in V4, you have to use the POST request. And it also gives you the multiple authentication ways. For example, in V3, there was an API based only. But in V4, it's API versus API-based solution and also an authentication-based solution. That means you can use OAuth 2 also. And one more thing, that in V4, we have mandatory field mask also. That helps you to reduce cost and also helps you to reduce the amount of data that you get out of V4. How it helps? For example, if you fetch a specific destination which has around 80 or 90 sub-destinations, your JSON file gets very large in amount, and it's hard for the application to process it. So you just tell that I don't need these all destinations, I just need a specific place, a specific name, and you get that out of that. One more change that is from V3 to V4 is that now in V4, it uses camel case for the API, for the JSON keys. Before it was snake case, but now it's camel case now. And if I talk about more the structured object and all, the V3 had a very little bit about the data. For example, it only had the formatted address. It had just lat long, just one navigation point maximum. But in V4, it has multiple navigation points, multiple sub-destination, and everything. Manish, can you switch to the next slide? Okay. So now we have understood that what it can do for us, how to use it and everything. But when we talk about migrating from V3 to V4, that's a major step for you. So what we have to do, we just have to update the endpoint first, and that can be easily done from map googleapis.com. So you have to just switch it to the geocode googleapis.com, and that's done. After that, you have to also implement the metadata. That is, you have to set up it on the field mask and everything. And as I told you before, the parsing logic, that before V3 had the snake case, and now it uses the camel case. So that's only what you have to do and switch it. One more major thing, that you don't have to modify your API keys, or you don't have to modify your projects for this. you can directly migrate from V3 to V4. It has all the data that V3 already had. So that's all handled on the side.
No, thank you so much, Sushant. I think in last 30 minutes or so, we have had 3 wonderful, stories. I think the first one is India bet is real. Like, honestly, I have not seen Google coming back and saying that they have reduced their prices for any one particular region. And we have seen 70% lower pricing. There have been no NDC partnership, which gives you further discounting, India first features, right? And then two-wheeler routing, which is very, very important and which has been rolled out in India. So I can 100% assure that the economic has shifted in our favor. Now, second, V4 is a new product altogether. And, from my experience, and I've been, selling this product for last 5 years, there has been, and we work for, as I said, we work for more than 1,500 plus active customers. This has been the most asked product because they do not want to go on ground, spend money in surveys and collect this data and ingest it. And that too, for a smaller companies, it becomes even more difficult. So this has been the most frequently asked feature. It has come on live. There are more enhancements that is going to happen very soon. So I would request all of you guys to please go and at least try it. And if you have any questions, we are here. We are here to help you. And the third, migration, again, as Sushant mentioned, it is not that hard. It is very, very straightforward. Most teams should be able to complete it within 2 to 4 sprints. And it is, to be honest with you, it is not a year-long project. It could be done within a week or two, and we will help you, as I mentioned. So I think that's it for us. I think we are way before our time that we estimated. We will open 15 minutes for any question and answers any questions that you have, and we are happy to answer.
I guess, Manish, we have our first question. Do we have any cost saving changes in migrating from V3 to V4? Yes, we do not have any direct cost saving, to be frank. Like from V2 to V4, when you migrate, you don't, there's no cost change in that. But yes, you save cost. And how you save cost? The address validator API that you have to use before to validate your specific addresses is now being handled by V4 only. So there's one less API call and a different API. For example, before that, if you wanted to geocode a specific polygon or a mall, maybe you have to make multiple API calls, to handle everything, to get the specific polygons of the buildings inside the bigger polygons. But now, for a single API call, you get all the sub destinations and everything. So yes, you're saving cost, not just directly, but minimizing the API hits.
And just to add on that, there is no change in the pricing. I think we should be happy to know that it is priced exactly the same Geocoding V3. So there is no increase in the price as well. While it will actually help you save cost because you will not have to call multiple APIs, which you may be calling before.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. Does this only be available for specific cities or specific places? No, this is generally available for pan-India. So that answers directly. And the third question is that only, is it for pan-India or limited to certain cities? No, it's pan-India available. Currently, few of the features are in experimental phase. For example, the AI summary, it's an experimental phase, but the Geocoding V4 as an API is generally available. You can use it and see the difference between V3 and V4.
Yeah. So again, just to add a little more context to it, see, primarily it all depends on the data that has been fetched from on ground by Google. Now, I can assure you that especially in the bigger cities, metros and tier 1 cities, you will find more data published already, right? While Google is still working on the tier 2, tier cities to fetch this data and implement it. So you see in next 6 months, most of the cities within India should be there.
Okay, we have one more question. Can V4 reduce our pin drop errors and failed APs? Yes, that's what we have been talking about. From V3 to V4, once you shift, there will be a lot of reduction in that pin drop errors because you get navigation points and sub destinations also.
Sushant, there is another question which says, will this API support multilingual?
As of now, yes. Even if we are not talking about the geocoding V4, each API that Google provides is multilingual. You just have to add a filter of language in that. So whatever the data is available in that specific language, it gets to you. So yeah, it is.
How do we get help in reducing the return orders? Also, will V3 still be continued?
Okay, so V3 will still be continued. There's no specific date that Google has given. They haven't mentioned it like this will be out of order in a specific date. So yes, V3 is also available right now. And will it help you in reducing the return orders? Yes, it will, because before this, you were just getting the latitude, longitude of a specific building. You were not getting the navigation points. So the driver was, standing in front of the building, trying to figure out which flat he has to go to. But now he understands that I have to go to flat XYZ. And he also knows that from that specific point, he has to walk or he has to drive. So yeah, it will help you reduce a lot of return orders.
And yeah, while geocoding API will help you in the last 50 meters to reach to the customer, there are many other APIs which can actually help you do the route optimization as well. So if you have to do any patching of collection of orders or delivery of orders, and you want to figure out that which is the shortest and the fastest way to do these 50 odd deliveries, then there are multiple APIs which are available from Google, and happy to discuss one-to-one how should you go about it. Sushant, we have one more question from Radha Raman. He's asking that we have a customer use case of market research firm. Can geocoding V4 get, for example, all electric shop in Narayana?
Okay, for that specific use case, you have to use different API. The geocoding, what it does, it gives you the specific location-based data. For example, if you want to geocode a specific lat long to get an address, or you want to convert the address to the lat long kind of thing. So for this use case, you should use Places API. That's far more better. And to be, add to that, even in Places API, Google has given a lot of new features also, like for example the text search thing that gives you an enormous amount of ways to handle these kind of queries. So yes, Google can do that, but geocoding V4 can't.
Yeah, Radharaman would love to connect you after the call. Google Maps also has launched another analytics platform which is called Places Insight, and we will do that session in our upcoming webinar, where you can not only get it for Narayana, for the entire India. If you want to understand how many electric shops are and where they are, you will be able to do that from there. And this is the first time they have given this access to customers to use it for their analytic purposes. And I see you have messaged once again saying that Places API is being used by the customer, not getting the required results. And as I said, like, let's connect one-to-one and we'll help you. We've been doing this day in and day out. That's our work. We know what are the best practices. How should you go about it? So happy to, exchange some ideas and tell you how your customer should actually use it. We have actually built an entire platform on top of it, which does, like, we have a platform which is called Smart Market, usually used by customers to understand where should they go and expand. And the primary database is where is my competition, or where are my complementary stores, right? So that is something that we can walk you through and let us. Sushant, we have one more question. Will my current API key work, or do we need to create another API key?
No, the current API key will definitely work. There's no
So,
issue. There's no question.
If I understood the question correct, somebody is asking that if I'm currently using Geocoding API or any other Google Maps API, will the same API key will work to enable the Geocoding V4, right?
Yes, exactly. You don't need to, get another API key or create new project for that. Geocoding V4 or V3 both can be addressed from the same API key. So you need not to migrate to another API key.
I don't see any more questions here, but anybody who wants to, I don't know if you can unmute, if you have access to that, but if anybody wants to unmute and ask any questions, happy to answer that. I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It has been a wonderful session with all of you. Please give us any feedback that you have while we send you the cheat sheet and the PPT that we have presented today. Again, thanks everyone who have been on the call. Looking forward to touch base with you one-to-one. Thanks again.